Hey, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakak. And I want to say Shalom to Yaakov and Alquat out there, pursuing this truth diligently. Coming at you once again with another lesson. And this is a little, I'm not going to say it's necessarily going to be a short one, because you never know how long it's going to go, but I was struggling with, coming up with a topic, and I was looking around at, threads and a bunch of different other places. I decided, let's just go to YouTube and see what's on YouTube. And I was originally going to see if I could catch a whiff of the Spirit through, see what the other brothers got posted on. And while I was doing that, on the homepage, I came across some shorts. And the first one I came across is from this guy, Hawk's Podcast. It's this one it's the one right down here at the bottom now. And I said, let's just do a little lesson about this, because it was an interesting little compilation. And then right after that, I got a George Carlin one. And then right after that, I got a tech myth exposed by this guy's Startup Universe. All, 3 little interesting videos here that I wanted to share with you. One's 2 minutes 43, and the other about a minute each. So about 5 minutes of content total. And then I got some scriptures. Of course, we'll probably pause and talk about it a bit, but we're going to start with this bottom one here. Let me make sure this is turned up so I can hear it as good as I can. And again, by Hawk's Podcast. And these, of course, fair use. I don't make any money off of these videos. Of course, you brothers and sisters know. Those, if I'm using any of your content, I don't make any money off of it. I just do this for religious instruction. And, the same way you're bringing things to light, I do the same, and just, weigh it through the Holy Scriptures, right? So if you want to deal with truth, you got to deal with the whole truth, all right? And that includes the Holy Scriptures, because the Holy Bible prophesies of these things, prophesies of these events, and warns of these events, and warns of these types of individuals. And it's evident, right, for those that can see and those that have eyes to see and ears to hear, that these are the type of situations that are going on. And a lot of people are just too ignorant to, put 2 and 2 together, right? And they've really bred a society of morons, all right, of a non-intellectual society, all right, filled with non-intellectuals that accept everything without any criticism, all right. They accept it unanimously, and they're uncritical of it, and they have been completely indoctrinated, by this regime. So anyway, I'm going to play these 3 videos, and I'm going to play this one first. So without any further ado, here we go.
You have an incredible amount of power at this moment in time. Why should we trust you?
You should. I have a kid that was born in 2025. I don't think he'll ever be smarter than AI. I don't think that'll get in the way of his happiness or fulfillment at all. It's sort of strange, and also sort of to him like it's the only world he'll ever know.
Well, I love the idea of getting a drone and having light fentanyl-laced urine spraying on analysts who tried to screw us. So that's my lower purpose.
So he lets you know right there. And some people say, oh, that's a joke. And that's what people usually chalk these things up to. They usually end up saying, oh, it was a joke. Just like all the eating babies jokes, and the killing people jokes, and the, jokes about creating major disasters, and the jokes about that. All these are just harmless jokes, right? And that just shows you that, non-intelligent individuals that are going around, and really college is a scam. You have these individuals that go to college for a number of years, and they come out thinking they're geniuses, when really they're dumber than the average member of society that hasn't gone to college, because really all those places function as is just giant indoctrination stations where they take you there. First of all, it's a fucking robbery. You pay to go and get indoctrinated, and they teach you a bunch of minor skills that you can utilize, that really, if you really want to get down to it, you can learn online. There's Khan Academy. There's, I know Khan Academy is one of the big ones. I know Cambridge and a lot of the other Ivy League school systems, they actually have online free classes that you can take. And also the fact of the matter is that most of these Ivy League schools and schools in general will actually allow you to sit in, of course, uncredited, and actually learn all of the same material that these individuals are learning. Yeah, but uncredited. Well, that credits are really just a scam. And here's how credits are a scam. The whole system's fucking rigged, all right? And they get these individuals that think, you pay all this money and you go there and you get a degree and you think you're intelligent. Well, anybody can go and do the same classes that you're doing. They're just not doing credits. Really, you're paying $20, $30, $40, $50,000 depending on the type of scholarship you're getting in the school that you're going through and whatever program it is that you're doing. And if there's a placement at the end, for example, if you do certain, like ITT, if you do certain technical institute career paths, at the end they'll actually place you in to a career. For example, if you go for like music design, or if you go in for game development, a lot of the times after that, there's usually some semi-guarantee that they'll actually place you into an entry-level development company to basically get you started in all that. So, those ones are going to be more expensive. Those places are like $50,000, right? And then, of course, you keep all the equipment and gear that you've gathered throughout the time. But really, it's what you're paying for is the placement. You're paying for the credits. You're paying for the plaque that says, "Look, I am smart. I went and did this." And that's the other thing. The whole United States labor system is a complete sham as well, and everything's tied in together. Everything's tied in. The labor system is tied in with the economy. The economy's tied in with the elites. The elites are controlling everything. It's all a cleverly devised system that's puzzle pieces of a system that's nearing their next step, which is transforming their current system into a system of complete totalitarian control, i.e. the New World Order. All right, the new order of the ages, all right, is what they're wanting, which essentially is all, not just the Rothschilds, but all of the big banking families, all right, which really, if you want to get down to it, they are all Rothschilds, because there was a thing that came out years ago. I can't remember what the article was, but it was talking about how it was credible information too, about how it was originally the Rothschilds, and when they spread out, I can't remember where they were originally from. I don't remember if it was Germany. Don't quote me on that. You can go and look that up. Wherever they were originally from, when they moved, because they started, spreading out the Rockefeller, family throughout the whole world, the whole earth, they had to come up with a cleverly devised scheme, because meanwhile, you have all these people named Rothschilds that are, controlling all the money in their things are going to start looking a little funky. So they came up with different names, Vanderbilts and all these different things. So that's the story, allegedly, is that they're all actually Rothschilds, but they just go by different names. But they are all part of that, the original crime family, which is the Rothschilds, going back for centuries upon centuries, right? But they all set this up. It's all set up, and it's America's been bought out by the 1948ers. Right, you can do your math on that. The 1948ers for ever, right? Ever. And it's just, they're hand in hand. They're tied together. And really, America's just a puppet state for the 1948ers. That's all they really are, and they got to do their bidding. And they've set up the whole system. They set up the Federal Reserve, right? They set up the media companies. They set up everything, right? And it goes a certain way. So the college is just a scam. Okay, it's all just a scam. These individuals go there and they try to get accredited and all that stuff. And again, this is going to play in a lot with the other video. You go and you work really hard, and it's all just a big part of the scam. And a lot of these people go to college, they do all these things, and they're really not critical thinkers. They're really not anybody that's too intelligent at all. They might have some semblance of book smart, but they don't have any ability to think on their own. A lot of these people are the same individuals that don't think the government has anything nefarious about it. They're not out to harm people. They're not to, what could they possibly gain? Meanwhile, you have all these declassified CIA documents, things like COINTELPRO, things like Operation Mockingbird, things like all these different situations, things like MK Ultra that were once, viewed and classified as quote unquote conspiracy theories that are being, but they were already declassified. They've been declassified for some number of years, and a lot of people just don't care to listen to it. A lot of people, I think it's that plausible deniability, that ignorance is bliss. They don't want to learn, but that's the type of situation that gets people involved in a trap. If I was a mouse, hedging my way towards a mousetrap because I wanted a big piece of cheese, I would hope that another rat would, come along and say, hey, that big piece of cheese looks nice, but it's all just a cunningly devised trap and you need to stay away from it. and go and get it from somewhere else, even down to the food system. Speaking of food, that's a trap. It's all designed to make you sick. Why? So once you're sick, you got to go to their corporations, i.e. the hospitals, and take their medicines from their big pharma that they've made and pay them money. And then, and if you're not paying them directly, your insurance is a scam because you're paying them. You pay. And I've told many individuals that insurance is a scam, because take a situation where how much are you paying for your insurance? Say you're paying $100 for your insurance per month. Say you're even paying something more expensive, something such as $200 per month, right? Now you paying that $200 per month, and then let's just say, you can go and do some math. Watch. Let's do. Let's do some math, right? So let's say you're paying $200 a month, all right? And so that's going to be 200 times 12, okay? 12 months in a year. So that's what you've paid in that year is $2,400. Now, say you do that for 2 years. That's going to come up to a maximum of $4,800. Now, say you do that for 2 more years, all right? Say you do that for 2 more years, all right? Now, you've amassed a total of $9,600, okay? Now, you've been doing this for, say, 4 years now, and you've been, paying all that in. Now, say you need some health thing done to you. Say you need a surgery or something that's going to cost $7,000, right? They have the right to say, no, we're not going to cover it. Well, in that amount of time, that 4 years, all right, you have amassed $9,600. You could cover it much over with a couple $1,000 left over, or $1,000, give and take some few. But but they won't give it to you. They could easily deny you and say no, we're not going to pay out on that. Why? That's a scam, right? Because if you would have just saved that money in an envelope, all right, or a safe, all right, you could have afforded that procedure, okay? But what a lot of people do is they have hope about insurance, because sometimes you've only been paying it for 2 years, all right? But again, 200 times 12 times 2, it's going to be $4,800. All right, they've been paying it for 2 years, okay? And they've amassed $4,800 that they've saved up. And they might need a procedure that's $8,000, and it might, essentially, if you want to do this, it's essentially a gamble. You're basically going to a casino and you're, betting max and slamming down the hand on a slot machine and hoping you win, all right? And that's all the insurance system is. It's just a giant scam, and that's what makes people feel safer. They say, oh, well, I might, more than likely I'll get approved. Well, you might not get approved. You might get approved, and a lot of the time they deny you more than they do accept you. So meanwhile, someone paid in $9,000 and they're trying to get a $6,000 procedure done, and they got denied. On the other side, if you win the lottery, all right, as it is, you can only be in for 2 years, and in the hole for $48,000 that you paid to these individuals, and they might cover you for a $9,000 procedure. They might. Again, you're going off of the situation of mights and maybes. Okay, that's a scam. All right, I'm not going to pay anything. I'm not going to pay for anything I'm not guaranteed for. All right, or anything that I'm not guaranteed at least some semblance of. For example, homeowners insurance. All right, if you own a home, if you want to be safe, well, just save up a couple $100 per month. All right, because again, a lot of these individuals, they're having this situation where a tree falls down, or electricity happens, or a flood happens, and a lot of these individuals aren't even getting the money paid out by their insurance anymore. So what's the fucking point of paying into something, thousands and thousands of dollars added up concurrently per each year, and you're not even getting your payout for it, right? Anyway, this is a whole different rant, but everything's a scam. Everything's a lie, all right? Everything's part of the stage. Everything's a lie. Everything's cleverly set up. It's cleverly devised, all right? Or as the Bible say, cunningly devised, all right? Using it for the reference of cunningly devised fable. Everything in the society is cunningly devised, using that word from the Bible, all right? Or not that word, but that ideology, all right, of cunningly devised things, all right? In the Bible, it's talking about a cunningly devised fable, all right? These, religious institutions, they come up with these doctrines and ideologies that are They're cunningly devised, all right? They do sit down and they revise them, but, I mean, when it comes to us in this truth, all right, starting with GMS on down, all right, those that are actually building up the house of David and are actually doing the truth, or pursuing the truth as it should be pursued through Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, we can cut right through that shit. Any individual, excuse me, with the Holy Spirit can cut right through these individuals, but you can't say it's not cunningly devised, because it does fool the fools, all right? And a lot of these fools, all right, and to us, are considered intelligent people on the outside. But these people, again, it's the same situation. These people that are deans, same people that are lawyers, any of these people in these more, how would I want to say it? Not luxurious. Prestigious, all right? More of these prestigious career paths. They're viewed as intelligent, but these individuals really don't have any idea about anything that's going on. So how intelligent could you really be? They don't understand about what Sam Altman, an individual, I can't remember what this guy's name was right here to the left, but they don't know what these guys are doing. So if you really don't know those things, how intelligent could you possibly be, all right? You know, intelligence is subjective. I could tell you everything about a 1970s edition of Dungeons & Dragons, but what does that fucking have to do with anything? Okay? That doesn't have to do with anything. That doesn't have anything to do with the world that we're currently living in right now. It might be something fun for me, and if you have a shared interest, it might even be fun for you, but does that make me intelligent? No, it doesn't make me intelligent at all, and it doesn't make anybody else that's pursuing that same path of knowledge intelligent. Is it knowledge? Yes, but not all knowledge is useful knowledge, okay? Not all knowledge is useful knowledge, at least not for the grand scale of things. All right, I'm sure it has some type of practicality, but again, knowing about Dungeons & Dragons older editions is not going to get me saved. Is it something that I'm personally interested in actuality? Yes, it's something I'm interested in, but I'm interested in many things that are not needed for salvation, right? And it's the same thing with a lot of individuals. There's individuals out there that are interested in the medical field, and it's not even medical as in will help an individual today. All right, it's something that's, you know, it's not like practical information. It's, oh, well, you know, if you do this pill and this pill, well, that's, again, that goes back to the Rothschilds. I promise you, in just a moment, I'm gonna get back to the lesson. But that's not even practical information. That because that goes back to the Rothschilds with, I can't remember the exact year on it, but when he started buying out the medical system and created the modern medicine from petrochemicals, all right, and it started roughly after the first synthesis of the first vitamin synthesis, which was vitamin C. That was the first vitamin that was able to actually be synthesized in a lab. And shortly after that, you know, Rockefeller and his petrol industry that he had, all right, Shell, BP, and all these other groups, that are now just known. And again, you know, they're smart. They have these monopolies. It's just the same way that they changed their name. They changed these. They're not going to all have it under Rockefeller Oil Corporation. They're going to say, oh, Shell, BP. I don't know if there's an oil company that starts with C. Not castor oil. It's in a green can. It used to be in a green can. Is it just castor? Let me see. Oil companies owned by Rockefeller. It was 34 different ones. Standard Oil, which I guess was his original company. You have Esso, Standard Oil, you know, Esso, KSO. Anyway, these are the more modern ones. We'll go to the modern ones because these are from like 1930s and on back, 1911. But here's the ones: Humble, Exxon, Mobil, Marathon, ExxonMobil, Texaco, Chevron, Gulf, Marathon Oil, U.S. Steel, Marathon Petroleum, Amoco, BP, DuPont, Conoco, Phillips Petroleum, Phillips 66, ConocoPhillips, Penns Energy, which is through Pennzoil, what is that, Devon Energy, Pennzoil, Quaker State, yep, Shell, and I guess there's not the one. There was a green oil companies. Come on. What's the one I'm thinking of? It's not Pennzoil. It was like, Aramco. No. It's an older one in a green tin. Motor oil company. Yeah, it would be specifically motor oil. What's the type of motor oil? Pennzoil, Shell, Quaker State. Which is funny because you look at this brand and you're like, oh, look at all my choices. All these brands right here are owned by Rockefeller. Here it is. Castrol. I said what did I say? Castor oil. But Castrol. All right. So yeah, all these different. Look, half of these are not even half. More than half are all fucking owned by the Rockefellers. Again, and this is the type of situation that nobody looks into, nobody really understands, and like this guy said, are you fucking listening? And not only are you fucking listening, are you fucking paying attention? Okay, because this is happening everywhere. All right, everything that they own. Okay, going back into they're gonna kill us all. They own everything. Okay, they own everything. Okay, they own all the food. Okay, all the food companies, all the dishwashing detergent companies, all of the laundry detergent companies, all the things, all the clothing companies. They're putting chemicals in clothes that are touching our skin. They're putting chemicals in the things that wash our bodies, the soaps, the things that wash our clothes, all right, the detergents, everything, man, everything. Just, think about it. A lot of the time we walk barefoot. I'm barefoot right now because I'm just sitting on the couch. And I don't really like wearing socks a whole bunch. I feel like they're too restricting. That's just me. Some people feel like they're naked without socks. Me, I don't like socks too much. I'm just sitting here, and I look down at my feet, and I'm thinking, what about the carpet? Wouldn't that be an excellent way to poison people? Everybody's got to walk to their house. They got to walk in the carpet. Wouldn't that be an excellent way to do it? That'd be an excellent way to do it. Put chemicals in the carpet, and they absorb. It's very absorbent. The soles of the feet. They're very absorbent with toxins and chemicals. Okay, so that'd be a perfect area to do it. And the other thing, perfect shoes. Shoes can be very and they are actually. At least the Crocs, and I still wear Crocs, but I won't wear Crocs barefoot. I wear Crocs specifically with socks, which is still, I'm sure, not cutting down anything if you sweat. But I wear these thick Dickies socks that are meant for like construction work. And they found out that you can look it up. Crocs chemicals found, and they have so many. And yeah, man. But yeah, they're like they said, they're gonna kill us all, and they do it with the food, they do it with the medicine, they do it with the water supply, they do it with everything, and nobody's fucking paying attention. That's why we're supposed to be paying attention. Let me go and get a scripture. Okay. What do we want to get? I don't know if I want to get that one yet. Let's get, well, did we get, I don't think we did. We did. Let's get 1 Peter 5:8, okay? It says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. And again, these are scriptures we get time and time again, and we're going to continue to get them as long as we're alive and well to do so. But let's go look at this, the easy-to-read version. It says, control yourselves and be careful. Being sober isn't so much as controlling yourself. That is part of it as well, but it's being of a non-afflicted mind. Being able to reason, all right? Being able to think clearly. It's not just so, because a lot of people think, oh, it's non under the effects of alcohol. It's not just that, because you can drink, all right, and get a little tipsy from time to time. It's not just that. Bear with me while I grab a drink of water. It's, because that's occasional. Being sober is being watchful. All right, as a matter of fact, let's go and get, the best way to do it would be to get 1 Peter 5:8. Let me let it load first. Peter 5:8. And just click on it like this, and it'll bring you to the Greek. okay, which is something you got to do if you want to study, and you got to look for the word sober. So what does it mean in context here? What does it mean, sober? And it goes back to this word, which is, I think it's supposed to be pronounced nafo. Let's hear it.
Strong's G 3525. NAFO.
Yep.
NAFO.
Nafo. And what does it mean? It says, of certain affinity to abstain from wine, or figuratively to be discreet, sober, and watch. And it's not talking about the first one, okay, abstaining from liquor. It's talking about to be sober, to be calm and collected in the spirit. What does it mean? Circumspect, all right, temperate. What does it mean to be circumspect and temperate? What does it mean to be circumspect and temperate? Okay. Careful judgment and practicing self-restraint. It's not just that, but it's having a mind that allows you to be able to judge righteous judgment, all right, and see clearly. So again, it says, control yourselves and be careful. The devil is your enemy, okay? And we know that the devil. Who's the devil? Esau, Edom, okay? And part of, they are through that same seed line is Edom. They're just his grandkids is Amalek, all right? The so-called 1948ers, all right? The tiny toppers, right? And then, of course, the main primary individual, Esau, Edom, is the so-called white man, the European, that is, known as also the America today. Now, again, not every so-called white person is an Edomite. And again, you can know them by their fruits. You can see there's individuals. Elvis wasn't an Edomite. Eminem wasn't an Edomite, or isn't an Edomite. George Carlin, not an Edomite. A good chunk of these Italians, not Edomites. From my line, I look like a so-called white person, but the Celts, all right, going back, the Scottish and Irish, okay, the originals, all right, not Edomites, okay. Our lineage really is from like Moorish, and you can look up the Moors, all right, and they incorrectly say that, they were black Muslims. No, well, there were those individuals, all right, but Moor meant black or dark, okay, and Moors referred to anybody that was in Europe at the time that was dark, okay, or as we called it, a black, all right, black, melanated with thick Afroic hair, right? And if you look at a lot of Celtic names and Irish names, like I said, I'll never. The name I'm under now, all right, is a different name because my dad's dad on his birth certificate is not his real dad. His real dad is a different guy, but his dad was adopted by a different family, and their original surname before he got adopted. Going back, I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is, even though it'd be damn near impossible to find me through it. And in Celtic, it goes back to two different words, black and lord, okay? Black and lord. So put those together, you get black lord, black lord. Why would you be named that? Why would you be named that? Okay? Can't put two together. And there's names like another side of my family that I'm not directly related to. Their name, again, not going to give that away because it's a very uncommon last name. Their name in one of the dialects goes back to black. All right? The black. Come on now. Come on. Right? I mean, it's just one of those things where you got to put, and then you go into the Celts and you look how the Irish, and no blacks, no Irish, no dogs, and they're actually called the N-words of Europe, all right, the Irish. So again, I wanted to put that out there for anybody that looks like a so-called white person, but this truth resonates with them. They can understand that originally we were dark individuals, all right, but again, because we go back to the seed line of Jacob, okay, so all 12 tribes, all right, which are melanated individuals, but it's just now because, again, you go back to the seed line of your father, and through our father's generation going back and 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 back, it's pretty much damn near impossible to trace. You don't know what you look like, okay? And it's the same thing for so-called black individuals, all right? Going back, 20 generations ago, if your granddaddy was a Edomite, Well, guess what? You're still an Edomite now, even if you look like a so-called black person. And it goes for anybody. There's going to be Edomites that are Asian-looking, Edomites that are white-looking as they naturally look, Edomites as, black-looking, Edomites Arab-looking. And just the same way with Jacob, you're going to have Israelites that look white. You're going to have Israelites that look black. You're going to have Israelites that look like Asians, Israelites that look like, even small hats, all right? They're even going to look like that. And there's even people among those 1948ers that are, masquerading as the fake people, but one of them is actually, a couple of them could actually be the real people looking like the fake people that are pretending to be the real people, I know it sounds crazy, but it's just one of those things that I always like to put that out there because that's one of those things that easily deters people. And, it shouldn't. All right, this isn't a ministry of skin color. We let you know what we looked like originally, and that the color of Yahushua is very important. But at the end of the day, it's not the skin color that determines if you're an Edomite or not, or whatever nation you happen to be. But anyway, so easy to read version, continuing on in 1 Peter 5:8, it says, "Control yourselves and be careful. The devil," all right, the so-called white man, all right, Esau, Edom specifically, as well as Amalek, all right, because they're the same seed. If you really want to get down to it, it's his cousin. If you look up Amalek, he was the grandson of Esau. So it says, "Control yourselves and be careful. The devil is your enemy, and he goes around like a roaring lion looking for someone to attack and eat." And that's what they're doing. They're on the prowl. They're constantly on the prowl, these individuals, man. Constantly on the prowl. Bear with me.
Way of his happiness or
So
fulfillment.
they're constantly on the prowl, looking for who they can devour, i.e. kill. All right, and literally now, as it's came out now, and we've been saying this for years, starting with apostles of elders and apostles of apostles and elders of great millstone on down. Again, I'm not in GMS, but that's who I learned from. That's who I mentored under through the internet ministry, if I could speak. So of course I'm going to have same biblical views as them. Okay. And teaching styles. So they've been saying that for years. These motherfuckers are eating people. Even Putin said, I can't quote it verbatim, said something about it's no strange thing about how the America has a strange desire for the taste of human flesh. Something along those lines. I mean, he gave it away. All right, he gave it away.
It's sort of strange and also sort of in like. It's the only word I'll ever know.
Well, I love the idea of getting a drone and having light fentanyl-laced urine spraying on analysts who tried to screw us.
And at what point in time what would compel you to say something like that? Right? That's not even a funny joke, first of all. And you can see he's not smirking after it. It's just one of those things, oh, yeah, I'd like to take a drone and load it up with fentanyl-laced urine. And, fentanyl is very deadly in small amounts, so dropping it on someone can cause somebody to overdose. And I'd just like to spray it on all the people that, caused us hell. What the who says that type of shit, man? That's not a lie. He spoke what he was actually thinking.
So that's my lower purpose. But the higher purpose for me was to get this nation to be the preeminent power in the world.
You would prefer that.
So again, he wants this nation to be the preeminent power in the world, total control, total global domination. All right, a new world order, a new order of the ages, if you will.
Human race to endure, right?
We did a lesson about this one a long time ago.
You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes,
I don't know. I would.
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
So the primary source of death in Palestine is the fact that Hamas has realized that there are millions and millions of useful idiots.
I know it's difficult to hear, but it's time.
This one is big. This one, and I believe it was the Rothschilds. I think it was one of the Rothschilds said when he dies, he'd like to reincarnate as a virus so he can take out the whole earth, right? Which at the end of the day, I get it, for a different reason. I don't want to take out the whole earth, but yeah, I get it. I understand, because there's a lot of fucking morons out here that just need to be cold. All right, but our definition of morons and your definition of morons are completely different. For example, the morons are all the 2/3 and the wicked, the Edomites, all right, all these wicked individuals that are against the Lord. Those are the people that need to be cold. Those are the people that would be great if a virus took them all out, right? But you're wanting to take out all the free thinkers, the individuals that are against your regime. All right, pretty much any of the intelligent people. You want to keep all the dumbasses because you've bred a perfect people. You bred the dumbest people. All right, you did quite a good job on it, which I'm not going to give you credit for because, again, that's through Yahweh Shem Yahushai. He allowed you to do so. And, through the Most High, He's really allowed you to create just a dumb generation of individuals that just listen to you wholeheartedly and uncritically. It's hilarious. But anyway, this guy right here, Shlomo Kramer, which is funny because ain't that, I believe that's a slur that they use for, let me see. Means God's peace, but I think it's like a, interesting. No, I guess not. But anyway, listen to what this guy has to say.
to limit the First Amendment in order to protect it, and quickly before it's too late.
What do you mean?
I mean that
And the First Amendment is, mind you, what allows you to speak freely. Part of the reason that we're able to even, like I said, because even the apostles said it, a lot of people like to bag on America and outside of America, but America does have its freedoms, for good and for bad. For example, one of the good things is the First Amendment, which is pretty much the reason why we're allowed to speak what we speak currently anyway, regardless of it being some people saying it's hateful or this and that. We can say these things, all right? And that is a benefit of being in Babylon because the First Amendment right. Now, they want to take that. Again, we don't really have any rights. We have certain perceived freedoms that they are essentially allowances to us. They can take away or amend at any given time. But that is one of the benefits is that First Amendment right because we can speak anything. We can go and do it. Of course, YouTube, they don't have to follow the First Amendment. They can just say, I don't like that and take it down, right? Because they're a privately owned corporation, which they're really not if we were going to get down to it because we're going to there's a video after this one, after the next one that I'm going to play. Actually, I might play it after that one. I might play it first after this one, dealing with how all these tech billionaires are all just a scheme and they're all bought out by the U.S. government, which is very important for these individuals because a lot of these individuals in this video are all tech billionaires, right? People like Sam Altman, people like, if you really want to get down to it, Jeff Bezos is essentially a tech billionaire because he built his platform off of the tech. And then Google, and then, of course, you can't forget Mark Zuckerberg, all right, from Facebook. All these individuals, these tech billionaires, well, their platforms are all bought out by the U.S. military, all right, and, data harvesting, all right, that's really what they're doing. But again, and even the Rothschilds, I believe it was one of the Rothschilds that said, the internet was one of the worst creations, one of the worst inventions, that we ever did, which shows you that they had a hand in its creation. So they want to limit it. They don't want us to speak what we want to speak. And again, like I said, in America, it is a shithole. It is Babylon at the end of the day. But there are good things as well as mostly bad. But there are good things such as in the illusion of us allowing us to say certain things. For example, if we said certain things that we said in other countries, for example, Pakistan or Iran, we might just be more than likely hung or slaughtered or shot or have our necks cut up or at least some other places might not be that violent, but severely limited. I know in Canada, anything that they perceive as hate speech, you can actually go to jail. So if some Edomite came up or was arguing, even and mind you, they persecute online, and someone said, no, you're being hateful. God loves the Edomites too, and I say no, he doesn't love the Edomites. And in the Bible, he talks about division, and he talks about only loving a certain race of people. Well, that's hate speech now, and that's racist, and I could actually go to jail in Canada for that. Right, which I don't know how that works for the brothers out there. Of course, it's all Yahweh Shem Yahushai protecting them. But I wonder if they've, if you're out in Canada, any of you brothers out there, please let me know if you've ever had an issue. I haven't heard too much about it. I don't know too much about the brothers out there in Canada. But yeah, I'd like to know more. I'm very curious about that situation. I know it's the same. I believe it's the same, not quite as harsh in. It might be just as harsh, if not harsher, in England. So I'd like to know that if you know anything about that. Please, I might look it up after this. I might not. We'll see. It's pretty late.
We need to control the platforms, all the social platforms. We need to stack rank the authenticity of every person that expresses themselves online.
Rank the authenticity of every person that expresses themselves. So if they hear what I'm saying, and they hear what Apostle Tahar and Apostle Kabar and all the elders and brothers of GMS and all the like-minded camps and individuals, like-minded with GMS, teaching the Bible in its true capacity and calling upon Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and they say we're invalid, what we say is not authentic, well, they can cut us right off, right? Delete all of our channels, ban us from the internet, and that's eventually going to happen, or at least something like that. Something that triggers us not being able to post anymore, not be on the internet anymore, because we know the Lord said, and I shall bring a famine, not a famine of food nor bread, but of hearing the word. And so it's the internet ministry is going to be shut down. All right, sooner than later. All right, we just don't know exactly when, but we know it's coming soon. We know it's coming soon.
And take control over what they are saying based on that ranking.
The government.
The government should
control social media.
Yeah, should do that.
We were going to use technology to change the whole world and basically overturn on the monetary system of the world. We could never win an election on getting certain things because we were in such a small minority. But maybe you could actually unilaterally change the world without having to constantly convince people and beg people and plead with people who are never going to agree with you through a technological means. And this is where I think technology is this incredible alternative to politics.
We see a future where intelligence is a utility like electricity or water, and people buy it from us on a meter and use it for whatever they want to use it for.
We will actually make so many
I mean, come on. I mean, listen to what these people are saying.
robots and AI that they will actually saturate all human needs. Meaning you won't be able to even think of something to ask the robot for at a certain point.
So stirring up the shit is something I like to do from time to time, but I also like to talk about some things.
So there you go, man. And then, this is the George Crown one. Actually,
They're not even trying.
I said I was going to play the other one first. I'll play this one first. Why not? Listen to what he has to say, man. Again, fair use.
To conceal it anymore. The owners of the country they got their election. They said, we're going to get this election.
And mind you, just like Sam Altman was saying, or it wasn't Sam Altman, it was that other individual before Sam Altman that said, we can convince them, through technology, we can, basically win elections because, you're never going to get you're never going to be on the side of those that don't like you. So instead of having people that don't like you, you could just, convince them through technology, which is, again, one of the best ways to do that is to rig elections. All right. And mind you, all the voting booths and voting polls are all electronic now. Okay.
Trying to conceal it.
Not that they even work in the first place, but say they did. Right. There's an old story. I used to know this British girl, this cute British girl. And I was talking to her when I was younger. I haven't been in contact with her fucking a long time, but I was in contact through my teens. He was a friend of mine. I met her online, and back when Omegle was a thing. And one day, she's from Birmingham, and one day her mom's over, and she says, "Oh, hello." She says, I guess we were talking about some random shit or whatever, and she knew I don't know, she must have known I was kind of a punk-looking kid. I just, very alternative, and like a mix of, back then it was either a mix of like a punkish fashion or like a streetwear type fashion, any type of more alternative type shit. Baggy clothes or, rock shirts or, just anything that was just different. So I'm sure she could have perceived it from that as well. A lot of time I was wearing band shirts and stuff, and I think I had long hair at the time. Into heavy metal and stuff, so that probably gave it away. Had my phases throughout my high school and after, but she told me, enough rambling, she said, hey, she's like, your elections are rigged. I'm like, yeah, I know. And because I did know at the time when I was younger, 16, 17, I did know. All right, 15, 16, 17, I did know. I've known because my father told me that the elections were rigged. He told me that the government's a lie and he's never out there to help. They're never there to help you. And then he was really big into conspiracy theories, and a lot of these things are just conspiracy truths as we know now. So he was telling me about all these conspiracy theories and all these different things. The government's not out to help you. They're out there. They're hiding a bunch of shit. My dad watched a lot of George Carlin. Like, there's a big club, bunch of elites, and we're not in it. All right, and there are a bunch of groups that are just evil motherfuckers. They're evil bastards, and they just seek to harm the American citizen, and not only the American citizen, everyone. And so she told me that. She said, your elections are rigged, and I said, yeah, I know. She's the one. You want to know how I know? And I can't remember what election it was, but she said, there's a place over here that we were at when I was younger, and she said, thousands and thousands of ballots, of U.S. ballots, and this is when you had to write them in. She said, washed up on a shore, and they were all coming up on the shoreline, and she saw it with her own two eyes, man, right? And some said, well, she was lying. What would you seek to lie about that? Just a random conversation with one of your daughter's friends, all right, from the internet? You say, hey, did you know your elections are rigged? Did you know that? What would you seek to gain? Right? She didn't gain anything out of it at the end of the day. She, hung out with her daughter and then went, back to her house at the end of the day. What would she seek to gain for telling me that? And it was already known, but I got a first-hand account from that woman. All right? But you'll never see that in the United States media because they hide it here. Okay? And it's all rigged. And just as that lady said, just as George Carlin's about to say, and just as that individual fucking gave it away again, let's get a scripture here. And this is what they fucking do. They boast of their heart's desire. Psalm 10:3, it says, for the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, and blesseth the covetous whom the Lord abhorreth. Let's break this down a little bit easier. It's pretty simple what it means, the wicked boast of his heart desire. When you boast, you brag about what you really desire at the end of the day. If I was boasting of my heart's desire, it would be, finishing this water and relaxing, all right, after the lesson, and making this lesson, drinking some water, making this lesson, and going and relaxing in the bed. That would be my heart's desire currently, right? My ultimate heart's desire is to, for Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Yahweh to send his son back, Yahweh Shai soon, and again, not rushing, but hopefully soon. And, deliver us out of this fucking evil-ass place, and we can be in the kingdom and be healed and be in good bodies and stuff. That'd be my true heart's desire. These guys' heart's desire is not that. They desire evil and wickedness and control, and to build up a, complete totalitarian government and New World Order. Should say that here. It says, right up there, it says, Psalms 10:3, easy to read, the Edomites, the wicked, all right, the wicked brag about the things that they want to get. They curse the Lord and show that they hate him. So there you go. That's what they do. They boast of their heart's desire, and their heart's desire was what? Well, complete totalitarian control. That everything we just watched in that video, that's their heart's desire. And that's not even all of it. That's not even the half of it. That's not even the quarter of it. There's much more than that. All right?
Anymore. The owners of the...
And mind you, George Carlin is very smooth worded. He always said the owners of this country, the owners of this country. He never mentioned who they were. But you know who they were. And he knew who they were. But at that time, they were very, very, very sticklerly about mentioning their name. Now, I mean, everybody's mentioning it in such a, they can't control it in this degree of what's happening now. It's 1948ers control everything. And mind you, that notion had been around for a very, very, very long time. Decades upon decades, but they silenced it and pushed it, and so anything that came out, like the learned protocols, they said, oh no, that's just anti-Shem, propaganda. That's oh no, this slipped through the crack. All this. But then you look at the media centers, and they're all controlled by these individuals. You look at the Federal Reserve and the history of the Federal Reserve, and it's all controlled by these motherfuckers. And then you look at everywhere, and it's all controlled by them. And you look at the all of the brands. They control all the brands. They control all the media outlets. They control all the music outlets. Everything. It's all controlled, and that's who the owners of this country are. Not the President of the United States, not the American citizens, but America is controlled by a shadow government called, really called nothing at all, but they have a name, all right? It's the Rockefellers, all right? The Illuminati is what they're usually known as, right? The Illuminated ones, all right? The Illuminated Rothschilds, actually, but is what it is.
They're not even trying to conceal it anymore.
And that's another thing. They're not trying to conceal it anymore. And this was back then. They're especially not trying to conceal it anymore. Now they'll say, hey, we're going to get rid of the Nord Stream pipeline. There won't be any. And then it'll happen. And then people, well, who could have done it? Real story.
They're not even trying to conceal it anymore. The owners of the country they bought their got their...
And this guy to the right, he's either an Edomite or he's a well-trained coon. Okay, there's a lot of black individuals that go, our brothers and our sisters, all right? They are, being so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, they are Israelites, the Lord's chosen people, but they go to these fucking Edomite schools, and Edomites fill their mind full of fucking garbage and shit and bullshit and fucking retardation. Indoctrination. They go there and get indoctrinated, and now they think they have a hope. They think they have a chance. They think they can be a part of the American dream. And like George Carlin, quoting him again, like he said, they call it the American dream because you got to be asleep to believe it. And that's exactly what it is. And these guys, there's a lot of these individuals I've seen, these, cooned out, primarily you see it with cooned out black men. And they go out there and they're just fucking parrots of everything the school system has told them. No, if we work really hard, we can do it. Blah, 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 blah. Polly wants a cracker. Blah. That's what they do, man. And they think that they really know something, and they don't know anything at all, right? And you're going to hear this guy interject interrupt George Carlin a series of times, just sounding like a fucking retard, man. Just sounding like a fucking retard. And George, just makes quick work of him. So anyway, here you go.
Election, they said, we're going to get this election. We put you people in that court for a reason.
All right,
Now's
back
the time
to earth for you now.
Forget all that.
And really, this guy might not even be a Israelite. He might just be an Edomite stuck up in that chocolate body. And, back to earth with you now. Why are you so interested about concealing this information? Right?
They bought got their election. They said, we're going to get this election. We put you people in that court for a reason.
All right,
Now's the time
back to earth for you now.
Forget all that stupid. Will you? They're out in the open. They're openly driving the bus, and we're all in the back.
There is no national conspiracy to buy elections and
Same shit people are parroting to this day.
Control America. Now talk about back to earth.
You don't need a formal conspiracy. Right. When interests converge, these people went to the same universities and fraternities. They're on the same boards.
It's true. Same fraternities. You had the Skull and Bones. You have a bunch of different ones. They're all on the same fraternity, man.
Directors, they're in the same country clubs. Yep. They have like interests. Yep. They don't need to call a meeting.
And their ultimate like interest is establishing that new world order.
They know what's good for them, and they're getting it. And there used to be 7 oil companies. There are now 3. It will soon be 2.
Look. All right, I didn't even know he was going to talk about the oil. I've heard this bit before about there are 7 oil companies. There's soon to be 3, soon to be 2. I've heard this bit before, of course, but I didn't know it came from this specific. Actually, no, he did do it in one of his stand-ups as well, and I've seen this clip years ago. But yeah, man, and again, it's funny because we were just talking about the oil, all right, and it's all owned by the same family.
The things that matter in this country have been reduced in choice. There are 2 political parties.
Yep.
There are a handful of insurance companies. Yep. There are about 6 or 7 information things. But if you want a bagel, there are 23 flavors because you have the illusion. You have the illusion of choice. Right.
The illusion of choice.
You don't get the real important choice. There's no freedom of choice.
You have an
There's no freedom of choice. You have the freedom of illusion of choice, all right? And that's another reason why all these dumbasses vote. I mean, you're voting, a vote is a vote, you know. Would you rather vote for the dragon that lives under the water, and when kids get nearby, chops off their legs and chops off their arms, and also sometimes can get out of the water and walk around and chomp at regular people and eat their flesh? Or would you rather have the dragon that flies through the sky and chomps on children and eats their flesh, and sometimes also gets down on the ground and walks around? Which one would you rather have? Well, I mean, at the end of the day, they're both fucking child-eating dragons, so why would I vote for any of them? I don't want either of them. I don't want one in the water, and I don't want one in the air. Well, there's one that's... You gotta choose the lesser evil. Okay, then I guess I'm gonna choose the one in the water, because at least most of the time it's in the water, right? But, just don't get too close to the water, or you better hope it doesn't catch you on one of the days it's out and walking out of the water. It might chomp on you too, all right? Better fucking hope, it's stupid. It's a stupid thing. And that's one of the things these political individuals always say, this whole, one's always less bad. Would I rather get shot, twice or stabbed 3 times? What the fuck, I would rather neither. Well, if you had to choose, I don't fucking know. I guess spin the fucking dice. I could die from either one of them, all right? I could have an especially clean knife wound, all right? And maybe the knife will get stuck in and I can make it to the hospital and survive. Maybe it'll be in my leg. What depends. Is it going to be in my heart? Because I'll pretty much die instantly then, won't I? Where am I getting shot at? And how big are the bullets? Is it 9mm bullet? Is it 7.62 bullet? Is it 5.56? What am I getting shot with? Is 9? Maybe a 22 bullet. Well, if a 22 bullet hits me in my skull, I'm still dead. What am I being hit with? Why would I choose between either getting shot or stabbed? No. A vote for evil is a vote for evil, regardless who it is. It doesn't matter if it's a lesser evil. There's no lesser evil. They're both evil, and they're both on the same fucking spectrum. Behind those doors, they're shaking hands. They're going to dinner parties with each other. It's all a fucking illusion. The world is a stage, and you don't see it because you're a fucking moron. I'm not going to vote for... A vote for evil is a vote for evil, okay? If I want to vote for the orphan crushing machine or the child stabbing machine, at the end of the day, what the fuck am I voting for? I don't want to vote for any of those things. They're horrible, right? But these individuals, well, one's less bad. One's less bad. See, orphans, orphans, they didn't get much love, so they don't really know what love is. So if you crush them, it's not going to be, no, it's still fucking evil, man. I'm not going to vote for any of it. I'm not going to vote for any of it, right? And again, illusion of choice. And they have done that. And what George was saying, soon to be 3, and he's right and he's wrong. Because somewhere along the line, they got smart and they said, people like George are realizing what we're doing. We need more corporations. So what they did is now you have one mega organization, and really that's what he's talking about, but one mega organization that owns 75 different brands, right? 75 different brands. And like he said, but if there's 32 different types of bagels, well, guess what? Those 32 different types of bagels are probably all owned by the same company, right? They're probably all manufactured by the same company, or the dough or the yeast comes from, the same company, depending on if it's pre-made dough or if it's the yeast to make it. It's coming from the same company, right? And that's one of the things. There was a person that was actually on, I don't know if it was a TikTok or a YouTube short, an Instagram reel. They went and oh yeah, you go to the soap aisle and you look at all these soaps and you think, oh, look at all these different companies. And they turned it around in the back and it was one was SC Johnson, one was another one, and one was another brand. And they're all owned by BlackRock, right? So there's really they're all the same brand at the end of the day. Well, they're all the same all the same owner, different brand. It's like if me, say my name's Jimmy Bob. All right, me, Jimmy Bob, created a 2 burger restaurants. All right, I created Burger Queen and Dairy Whore. Right, so I created these 2 things: Dairy King, and Dairy Whore and Burger Queen. All right, Burger Queen and Dairy Whore. Right, I created these 2 things. All right, not associated with any other corporations that might they do. And then I put them as their those 2 are rivals. Yeah, well I own them both. All right, those are rival corporations. They're not though. They're not. Or a lot of people are like, oh, those 2 fast food, corporations are actually rivals. Yeah, but a lot of the time they're fucking the same corporation. They have different owners, but who owns their owners? Vanguard, BlackRock, all these different other corporations. Right, here's another one. All right, this was very interesting.
Hey, Bill Gates? Mark Zuckerberg? Really strange. This 19-year-old guy drops out from Harvard and founds Facebook, okay? And now he's a billionaire. How does that happen, guys? Well, it must be the American dream. Oh, ChatGPT, guys. Really strange. If you have a dream and you just follow it, you can become a billionaire in America. Yeah, it's all just a scam, right? It's Google. It's all just a scam, okay? What you need to understand about these companies is they were all founded with U.S. military technology that is public, okay? The internet, it's a U.S. military technology. Google, these search engines, it's all U.S. military technology. And they're given to these guys for free. Why would they do that? Okay, again, if you think that we're ruled by secret societies, and it's really these secret societies that control the world, and they want this technology out there to better surveil people, it makes a lot more sense, right? Because of the Pentagon.
There you go. He said, if you believe that there are secret societies and they want this technology out there to better surveil people, then it starts making sense. It does start making sense, think about something as powerful as the internet. Why would they just give that to us? Right? Why would they just give it? And what about, look at the questions, what is that? Why is the technology landscape monopolized? It's all controlled by, one industry. It says, where did these individuals come from and how did they succeed? Again, a lot of these individuals just came out of the woodworks from nowhere and blew up, became millionaires, right?
Said, hey, with this free computer that you can use, you'd be like, I'm not gonna use this computer because you'll spy on me, right? But if Mark Zuckerberg says, hey, free Facebook, guys, want to use it? You're like, yeah, sure, Facebook, yeah.
It's fucking true. All right, and that's all the videos I have for the day. But if the FBI gave you a computer, like, I'm not going to use that. But you will go and buy from Apple, okay? You will go and buy from Google. All right, you will go and buy from and not only buy, but you also freely utilize things. All right, if you go to the App Store, you know what? Let me go show you something. Let me show you something. Let's grab an app. Let's go to YouTube. Let's just see what they want. What do they require? Data linked to you. They want to be able to, the following data may be collected and linked to your identity. They want to know what you purchase, your financial info, where you're at, your contact info, your contacts, user content, right? Photos, your search history, your browsing history, your personal identifiers, your usage data, your diagnostic, and other data. Other data that we don't even know exactly what it is. Okay, so look, third-party advertising. They want to be able to advertise to third parties. They want your location. They want your physical address, your email address, your name, and your phone number. All right, then they want to know your search history, okay, with anything, your browsing history. Then they want to know your user ID if you have it linked on your phone, because you can in certain places. Why do they want that? Then they want to know your device ID, the specific device ID that you're on. Think about that. Contact info, your physical address, email address, name, phone number, all these different things. all these different things. All right, and that's under develop. That's and you get look third-party advertising. So that's what they can give away to third parties. Then they're also going to give you developer advertising or marketing. So they're gonna certain identifying advertising or marketing indicators. All right, for example, they can look through your search history. All right, on your phone. Say if I search retro video games, and guess what? YouTube is going to start probably recommending retro video games to me. Okay, for example, I was on Threads earlier, nothing about it. My wife had put on right after Sabbath started, she put on a little mini YouTube video about, I already forgot this bitch's name, that lady that killed her boyfriend and the other guy in the crash. She sped off. What was her name? Zilzler or something. I can't remember. Something like that. And I never heard about this at all before. Now all of a sudden I went on Threads, all right, and all of a sudden, boom, 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 I'm getting flooded with it. Every single last fucking thing. And also, because they listen to the microphone, right? When we were watching it, me and my wife were talking about it, saying, oh, that's interesting. You think she did it? Oh, yeah, that bitch definitely did it. And she did this and that, and we talked about it and all this. All of a sudden, I open up Threads, all right, looking for a lesson, and boom, bam, sure shit, all these different things about it, all right? So, and they're never going to let you know about the mic. They keep that one a little secret, right? But, I mean, watch. If you go to Instagram, all right, and again, this is a free app. You download it. I'll use it, all right? And this is why you'll have a lot of individuals out there. Even my dad said it, like, oh, you use those, Google Homes on those smart devices. Yes, I do. I have one sitting next to me, and I can tell it to turn off my light. And when I'm done out here being in the loft, I will. Actually, as a matter of fact, hey, Google, turn on my light for 20 minutes. Cool, because I had it set for 30 minutes, and I don't know if it just hasn't gone off yet, or what. I don't know how long we've exactly been doing this. Matter of fact, while I'm here, fuck it. I should have enough time. I got 8% battery, but I always tell them, I'm like, yeah, but you got a Google Home. All right, right in your phone, because my dad has an Android phone, and they have the Google Assistant, which is the same thing, Google Home. All right. For example, on this phone, I have Siri. Right. See if she pops up now, but no. And then we all have it, and it's constantly listening. All right. If it's listening for Hey Siri, it's listening any other time as well. I think the reason it's not coming up is because, when you're recording, it won't come up. But all you got to do is say, hey, Siri, and bing, it'll come right up. All right? That means it's constantly listening for that. You say, well, you go into settings and you can turn off listen for Hey, Siri. Sure. But do you really, in good faith, think they're really not listening? All right? Do you really think they're not listening? I mean, there's a button on the back of the, there's a button on the back of the Google Home that'll turn your mic off. That turns your mic off, so you can't speak to it. Do you think that means that they can't hear you? It just means you can't speak to it. It's easy software programming, right? Easy. But people say, oh, you allow that shit in your house? Yeah, I mean, they've also showed that if you have Wi-Fi in your house, the Wi-Fi can actually trace where you are at any given time. Okay? Through the through waves, electrical current. I don't know how it does. You can look it up. Wi-Fi. Just look up Wi-Fi can track where you are in your house. Just look that up. It's not bullshit. It's real. Let's go to one that all the women love. Should be up here in popular apps. Let's go to TikTok. I don't have this shit installed anymore because it's fucking annoying. But this one uses a lot. Okay, look. Contact info, identifiers, everything. Okay, location, all these different things. See? Same thing. Same thing. And you're willingly, when you download an app, you go over here and you just click bling. All right, look, let's see what ChatGPT gets. All right? What does ChatGPT get from you? Health and fitness. Look, they actually get less info than Google does. All right? And ChatGPT is just horrible. It's awful. It's awful fucking shit. I hate it. Most of the time I use Claude. Or if I'm doing like messing around with code or something, I use they have Claude Code, but a lot of the time when I'm messing around, it's like HTML. I use Google Gemini because I find that to be the best one. Now, here's Claude. Let's see what Claude has. What does Claude want from you? Not that much. Okay, now, top free apps. Threads. Here we go. Threads. Wait, you know what? Let's compare the other AI. Google Gemini, guarantee it's going to have way more. It's going to want way more from you. Because it's Google. There it is. Because it's Google. They want all of your information. You think OpenAI, all right, the people behind ChatGPT, you think Anthropic is bad. Well, first of all, Anthropic is less bad than ChatGPT. If you want the most malicious, most morally evil, right, company, go with ChatGPT, because these individuals are directly bought out by the military complex, and it's open. Claude, they're a private company, and they have several times denied being used for the Department of Defense. They don't want to work with the military. They don't want to work with anything. So don't be surprised if Claude just goes away one day. All right, don't be surprised if it just goes away. Right? AI for problem solving. And it's smarter. All right, it's smarter. But I try not to use. I mean, I do use AI quite frequently, especially when like to pull scriptures a lot, because again, it's the best hub for doing so. It can just like pull me a bunch of scriptures on fasting, and it'll pull you a whole bunch. With a lot of again, if you could go and get a non-AI solution, that would be great. But a lot of these Bible websites, their search functions are horrible, right? One of the best search functions I know now is by an app that I use on my computer. It's that, and then there's also one that I use called eSword on the phone. It's like a $5 app, and that one's the best one. And then another program that's like an eSword is what is it called? It's the one I've been messing around with, and then because I wanted to try a retro piece of hardware. It's not too retro, like 2008, but I wanted to try out a I like messing around with retro software. Those that have been on the channel, and it was a Bible app, a Bible study tool, and I wanted to use it. And now I love using that. I use that when I do my the lies, myths of Babylon, and fabled and cherished myths of Babylon, whatever that series is called. Deal with really based off with whatever the book is called. So I can't remember what the book was called. Lies, fables, and cherished myths of American history. I call it Babylon history. But I use it when I use that, and honestly, that search function is fantastic. And that's from like 2008. And you could build your own Bible, files out of it. Do any translation, create your own translation. It's awesome. It's fantastic. I mean, there are some glitches in it, but other than that, it's pretty freaking great. And but other than that, I mean, you can't find a good search. AI is, unfortunately the best because it can go and search the internet for you in a matter of milliseconds and pull it. Here's a whole list. And sometimes it'll get things wrong. So, but it'll do it. But yeah, Threads. Let's see what Threads wants. All right, guarantee it's gonna be a lot of shit. Look at that, everything. They even want sensitive info. What is sensitive info? What is sensitive info? What is that? Let's go and look that up. What is sensitive info? App Store. Specific category of personal data that app developers are required to disclose if their app collects it. It's part of their private. What does it mean though? Your racial, ethnic data, sexual orientation, your religious and philosophical beliefs, political opinions, genetic and biometric data. So, which means your face scans. They can get all that biometric information. Pregnancy or childbirth information, trade union membership, disabilities, medical-related traits. They want to know everything about you, man. So, yeah, they want all those things. All right? I don't even have to do it with Instagram. That's Threads. So, it's ran by Instagram. So, let's get a couple more and close out. And again, these individuals make their own tongues fall upon themselves. And it's the Lord. Really, they should just shut the fuck up. But the Lord causes them to run their mouth. So Psalm 64 and 8 through 10, it says, so they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Well, any of those that have eyes to see and ears to hear, a lot of these individuals will see it and not run away, not flee away. They're like, oh, well, they didn't mean it like that. Like with the whole Bill Gates and the population culling, all right, situation, as they would say, a conspiracy. Well, anybody with a right mind would flee away, but these no, he didn't mean it like that. That's not what it's talking about, right? Verse 9, and men shall fear and shall declare the work of Yahweh, for they shall wisely consider of his doing. The righteous shall be glad in the Lord and shall trust in him, and all the upright in heart shall glory. So, if we're, on the Lord's side, we don't have anything to worry about, and Lord willing, we are. So, and then here's another one. Here's about being smart, right? And this is the final scripture, and then I'm gonna get it in the what Google has to say about it. So Proverbs 27:12, it says, "A prudent man." What does it mean to be prudent? Prudent means wise and cautious. Right here, adjective, acting with showing care and thought about the future. So a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. So wise people, all right, you're going to pay attention to these things. There's another scripture that says, be not ignorant of any manner, whether great or small, roughly paraphrasing. And it shows you that whether it be a small little fragment or a big thing, don't be ignorant of it. Small things can turn big and big things can turn small. Keep your eye on it, right, at the end of the day. So a prudent man, one who's, actually, not a moron, is actually taking care, all right, and concerned, all right, is going to foreseeth the evil, all right? He's going to be able to see it before it happens. And that's, like a lot of these individuals don't realize, starting with Apostle Nell was a great millstone and down. That's what a prophet does, okay? A prophet prophesies things before it happens. Why? Because they can foresee the evil, and they're using the scripture and say, hey, the scripture said this, that doesn't look good, something bad's going to come of that, something bad happens, and they say, how did you know? How did you not know? All right? And we know it's all because you don't really have the Spirit at the end of the day, but still, man, bad. What does it say over here? Proverbs 27 and 12. It says, this passage contrasts two different responses to life's risks. The prudent, a wise and observant person, spots danger ahead, acts with foresight, and takes necessary precautions to stay safe. The simple and naive, a foolish or inexperienced person, ignores warning signs, blindly plows forward, and suffers the painful consequences. And that's what's going to happen with a lot of you individuals out there, man. So that's where we're going to close out. Lord, what was edifying. Not so short as I thought it was going to be. I think I came out here at like 3 something, so I think we've been out here for like an hour or more. But could be wrong. But I can't really tell how long it takes for a lesson. It feels like this was maybe like 20, 30 minutes, but I couldn't tell you. But that's where it close out. Lord, what was edifying. Again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High. Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Wadash. Shalom, you brothers and sisters out there. Keep enduring, keep the faith. We're almost out of here. Until next one, Lord willing. Shalom.